Today we finally just got the Modern Warfare 2 reveal trailer, and whilst there are a ton of new gameplay features and a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about, there has been quite a lot of bad news today considering it is a reveal, and usually reveals are just shrouded in excitement and there's not really too much negative news, but there are quite a few bad things which I'm going to go over in this video, as well as everything else important from this reveal. This is just going to be a general roundup. Most of this information is coming from Charlie Intel, Modern Warzone, and other sources, as various influencers have been flown out early to see a bunch of early footage from the game and a lot more. First things first, the price of the standard edition is now $70 instead of $60, which it's been for quite some time. Inflation is kicking in, and it looks like standard Call of Duty games moving forward are all going to be $70, and with the increase in living costs, this is just going to be an extra strain on everyone. The editions of the game have been revealed as well. We have the cross-gen version, and there is the Vault edition, which is going to come with the Red Team 141 operator pack, which features skins for Ghost, Farah, she's going to be an operator on launch, Price, and Soap, all of which do have skull masks just like Simon Ghost Riley. It also features the FJX Cinder weapon vault. It looks like blueprints are getting renamed for Modern Warfare 2 to now be vaulted weapons, and some good news for PC players is that the game is going to be available on Steam, but it will still be on Battle.net too. Some of the most disappointing news comes from the pre-order bonus, which are Legacy Simon Ghost Riley skins, and these are the exact same skins that we saw in the original Modern Warfare 2019, and that's because Call of Duty has announced that none of the skins or blueprints or any of the content from Modern Warfare 2019 and the original Warzone is going to be transferring into Modern Warfare 2/Warzone 2. It's going to be a completely brand new slate where no stats or anything like that are going to be transferring over. The thing is, people have spent literally hundreds, if not even thousands, on bundles for blueprints and skins, and none of them are going to be transferring over into Warzone 2. The reason why this is so disappointing is because they are bringing skins that we've already seen in that game over as a pre-order bonus, and what I'm worried about is that they're probably going to start reselling skins and blueprints that people have already paid for in the original Warzone to now use in Warzone 2. It's a complete and utter scam, because when people bought these, they thought they were going to have them forever in the future. They didn't know that Warzone 2 would be on the horizon, and the reason why Warzone 2 is a thing is because Modern Warfare 2019 has basically just become full. The game size is bloated, and it's causing lots of issues for the developers, and it's overwhelmed with content since there's so many weapons and other content jammed into that game. So it makes sense to start with a clean slate, but if they're going to be bringing back old skins and blueprints from the original Warzone, people who have bought the original packs should get them for free, and I'm worried that that is probably not going to be the case. So Modern Warfare 2 is going to be having an open beta later this year. If you pre-order, you do get early access, and the beta will be available first on PS5 and PS4. Even though Microsoft are in the process of acquiring Activision Blizzard, there is still currently an exclusive deal with Sony and PlayStation. We don't have the exact release date on when the beta is going to be though, and it is confirmed that Warzone 2 is going to release in 2022, sometime after Modern Warfare 2's release, not exactly on launch. And there is also Warzone Mobile on the horizon, which is going to actually feature Verdansk, but it's not the exact same Verdansk we played in the original Warzone. It has been slightly altered, and it's going to feature Rebirth Island 2. So I'm wondering if they're going to release at a similar time, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see when Warzone 2 releases. It'll be November or December though. It's good that we don't have to wait until 2023 like some people were speculating we might have to wait until March of 2023. Earlier I talked about how there is going to be a cross-gen version, and that's because there are going to be last-gen versions of Modern Warfare 2 for Xbox One and PS4, which is really disappointing news. I understand why from a technical standpoint this still has to be the case, because due to scalpers and the pandemic and stuff like that, people are still having a hard time getting their hands on PS5s or Xbox Series X/S's, and because of that, by far the majority of the player base are still on last-gen consoles. So that is why they are still making Modern Warfare 2 for last-gen. The thing is, even though it does make sense and comes by no means as a surprise, it's still disappointing because it completely defeats the point of Warzone 2, which is meant to be a completely fresh slate, and the original Warzone, the Legacy Warzone, is still going to be available for last-gen users, and it's going to hold back the game's potential. It might as well just be DLC for Modern Warfare 2019, because from the trailer, honestly, it doesn't really look that different from the original Modern Warfare 2019. It just has some new gameplay features, etc. It's not anything too crazy, and graphically it looks pretty much the same as well, if not even slightly worse. I saw a lot of people pointing out that the trailer does look worse than the original Modern Warfare trailer, but it's just a trailer. This isn't what the game's going to actually look like. So yeah, whilst this isn't surprising news, it is still disappointing because it is going to impair the ability of Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2, and it's going to waste a lot of resources in making that last gen version. And it means that, for example, say they want to have a really ambitious thing in the current gen version, maybe they end up cancelling that because it doesn't work on last gen, so it's going to hold back all versions of the game and divert resources. Another piece of disappointing news is that Spec Ops is returning, and I don't even understand why this is the case, because it was so poorly received in the original Modern Warfare 2019. I thought no way they would waste a bunch of development time on making Spec Ops again. The development time should have gone elsewhere to something that people will actually play after it flopped tremendously last time. Spec Ops took a lot of work in Modern Warfare 2019 and was really ambitious, but unfortunately the plans weren't executed well and a lot got scrapped. Survival was tagged on the last second and was a massive downgrade from Modern Warfare 3 Survival, and it performed so poorly that they stopped releasing DLC for Spec Ops in its seasons, even though it was supposed to get DLC for the entirety of its life cycle. If they are bringing Spec Ops back in Modern Warfare 2 and claiming for it to be an evolution, it would have taken a lot of work too, but this time it needs to actually be executed well and according to their vision that they had for Modern Warfare 2019. But I worry that we'll end up in the same scenario as Modern Warfare 2019, where a bunch of time was wasted on it. It's not like with Vanguard Zombies, where the mode was evidently put together in a very short time period. Modern Warfare 2019 Spec Ops seemed to have a ton of resources and work put into it. It was supposed to be open world, played on the entirety of Verdansk, where you go from point to point doing different missions, but it was too glitchy, so it didn't end up being that way. If they can pull off their vision, it'll be great, but it didn't work last time, so hopefully it does work this time in round 2, I guess. I just think that this is really pointless in them having Spec Ops, and it needs to be good because last time it was dreadful, and I'm thinking that if they've wasted all of these resources on Spec Ops again, they might as well have just made a zombies mode, even though I don't think they should be doing a zombies mode either because it was rushed within Call of Duty Vanguard. If they have had a lot of time working on Spec Ops, that time should have gone into something else. Not even necessarily zombies. I don't want to see zombies or Spec Ops in this game. I'd rather see another interesting co-op mode that's something unique like Extinction was. Speaking of that though, there is another unannounced big sandbox mode that we know is called Demilitarized Zone, in short DMZ. This is not officially announced just yet. All they've said is there's a sandbox mode, but we've known from leaks and rumors it's going to be a mode played on the Warzone map similar to Escape from Tarkov. But yeah, we haven't got any new details on that just yet, but I just don't understand why they're going all out with having this mode and Spec Ops. We didn't need Spec Ops. Take away all of the development time you're wasting on Spec Ops, and that should have gone towards making DMZ even better or some other mode. Now for Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer details. It is going to have some new movement mechanics. Swimming is going to be returning in certain maps, as well as dolphin diving and ledge hanging, but sliding is still going to be present in the game and slide cancelling like in Modern Warfare 2019. I'm so happy for swimming though. It was a feature we saw in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, and it's something we should have seen in Warzone. It would have been great to be able to swim within the rivers, in Caldera especially, and the ocean. So in Warzone 2 there is going to be swimming, and in DMZ and Spec Ops presumably as well. But in Warzone 2 and Multiplayer, Infinity Ward are currently only allowing pistols and melee items to be used underwater. Equipment can also be used, with proximity mines being able to float and move along currents of water to take out boats. I preferred how it was in BO3, where you could just use any gun up at all times underwater, and it was really fun, but I guess it was unbalanced, so that's why they've nerfed it. But sometimes the funner things are unbalanced. But yeah, I'm happy to see that swimming is being added because it was just so unrealistic not being able to go in the water, especially in Warzone, and it is going to be mixing up the gameplay of the multiplayer maps. But yeah, I just wish we could use all weapons like Treyarch's philosophy with guns up at all times, like they've had in Black Ops 3 for example. Modern Warfare 2 is also going to be introducing new vehicle combat, including abilities to lean out of windows with weapons, climb on top of vehicles, and jump from vehicle to vehicle. Vehicles can also be damaged with tires blown and repaired. Of course, this will also be in Warzone, DMZ, and whatever other modes we have. Multiplayer in Modern Warfare 2 features two key styles of play: battle maps and core maps. Battle maps are large-scale maps, while core maps are built exclusively for 6v6. Core maps will take place in locations around the world. The museum map is supposedly one of the larger core maps, and it will allow players to duke it out within a Spanish museum. Grand Prix will take players to a racetrack setting. The The track is supposedly located in Asia, therefore it might be inspired by Formula 1 tracks in Japan or China. While we don't know the exact location of the Farm 18 training facility map, this one is set to deliver on high-octane action as players battle it out inside of a training facility, as the name would suggest. Battle maps will also be points of interest on the new Warzone map. Aside from the core 6v6 maps, Modern Warfare 2 will also deliver larger maps for modes such as Ground War. These specific large maps will be called battle maps in Modern Warfare 2. Tariff Bay will bring players to a fishing village where you'll be able to explore the surrounding waters and benefit from the brand new swimming mechanic. Meanwhile, Saeed, or however you pronounce it, was designed for urban combat and is said to combine elements of core maps and combat map gameplay. Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 will feature a firing range to test weapons, huge news that was leaked a while ago, and there is a sketch of it that is shown from Exclusivity, who did get to see early gameplay as it was shown on one of the tabs. There are two new modes in multiplayer, one called Knockout, and it's a merger between regular multiplayer and gunfight from Modern Warfare 2019. Knockout is a 6v6 mode where players have one life. Like Warzone, you can revive a teammate, but once your whole team is down, the round is finished. Players will fight for control of a package, with whatever holds the package at the end declared the winner. We then have Prisoner Rescue. If you've ever played Rainbow Six Siege, you'll immediately recognize Prisoner Rescue. In this mode, teams are split into attack and defense. Just like Search and Destroy, the attackers are tasked with rescuing the hostages and extracting them from the building, while defenders attempt to protect them from the insurgents. Modern Warfare 2 players will be able to breach doors and walls like in Rainbow Six Siege, and victory comes through either eliminating the other team or completing your objective. Okay, so these two new modes seem cool, but because of these two new modes, Gunfight is apparently not going to be there on launch, and it's going to be released after launch as DLC. Disappointing news, because Gunfight was so much fun in Modern Warfare 2019, and I wanted to play it at launch. I don't know why it's coming out later. It was such a beloved mode. Why release it as DLC, especially if it's already finished? From the sounds of it, it is. They're just postponing it to spread out content for post-launch, which is disappointing news. We have a bunch more details to go over, but before I go into all of that, I just have a quick message to share for you. This video has been kindly sponsored by The Last Defender, which is a genre mashup of survival, defense, and strategy featuring a genetic AI that evolves the enemy to the way you play. It's never the same. The developers, Basement Games, are currently running a Kickstarter to help produce the game that will be linked in this video's description. All Kickstarter proceeds go towards staff costs. They currently have the team with the skill sets required for the development of the game, so the funds will be used to support additional months of development to help hit the quality goals for a Steam Early Access release. Due to the genetic algorithm, enemies learn the best lessons from the last wave to use in the next. No more set directions, set enemy types, or set strategies. No wave will ever be the same. Set in the merciless blizzards of a far-off planet, it's a cooperative up to 4 players third-person game. Nurture your colonists, collect resources, craft items and weapons, build your defenses, and prepare for an enemy that adapts and learns your weaknesses. The AI is so good and it learns from your previous attacks and then adapts to focus more on their previous success in an evolutionary way. The genetic AI Darwin essentially breeds the best performing enemy from previous waves into the next, so they start to find the best angles of attack and enemy types to field more often. This is a unique aspect of the game, which it takes wave pattern recognition out of the equation for players, which the developers believe to add a unique and challenging gaming experience. After crash landing on a planet you are destined for, protocol kicks in and you successfully establish a colony despite the ship's wreckage. Humanity now has a new chance of survival. After a number of years of careful nurture, prosperity and harmony is found as your colonists grow up, until one night alien shrieks and screams cut through the air. A figure appears through the blizzard, bloody, staggering, hurt and afraid. All peace is lost. Your colonists are in danger and you are their last chance of survival. You are the last defender. The story is told with animated comic art. The game mode the developers have been working on consists of multiple gaming sessions in various zones as you progress towards the story crescendo. In each session you must repair the core in order to get out of there and progress, but you need to gather resources to do so. At the same time, you also need to use resources to build defenses, weapons, turrets, traps, and start research, so pick your strategies carefully and work together as a team. Or single player is fine, to divide and conquer. If you lose a colonist, they are lost for the entire game. If you lose the core, it's game over for everyone. There's also a sandbox mode in the works, so if this sounds intriguing to you and you'd be interested to help with the development, you can check out the Kickstarter down below. So returning to the Modern Warfare 2 gameplay, it's going to feature a variety of new equipment, including tactical camera, drill charge, DDoS, and more. Internally, Modern Warfare 2 is being referred to as COD 2.0, as the game kicks off a new era of Call of Duty on October 28th. This includes all of Call of Duty being built on a unified engine technology. connected gameplay, and ensuring Warzone 2 feels like an extension of the Modern Warfare 2 universe. Activision has also confirmed that starting with Modern Warfare 2, the entire franchise will be using one engine for a connected experience. Despite this, they have said that each Call of Duty in the future are still going to be feeling unique despite them running on the same engine. So Treyarch's next game in 2024 will be feeling unique, but it is going to be running on the same engine. And I guess this makes sense as to why Treyarch are making Vanguard zombies, because that's probably just them testing zombies mechanics on the Modern Warfare 2019 engine to prepare them for the next game, and it shouldn't really be treated as a proper mode as expansive as the previous zombies experiences. Sad news, there is apparently no theater mode in Modern Warfare 2 like it was previously leaked. They have hinted that it might come in the future though as DLC, but so far it's not going to be there on launch. There is also going to be AI bots now in the DMZ mode and in Warzone 2, and Infinity Ward have confirmed that they are still actively working on how AI is represented, especially for scoreboards. Do AI kills count? Does dying by AI count against your KD? These are things they are still evaluating for the experience. So yes, there's going to be bots in public matches. I don't think in the regular multiplayer, but it is going to be in Warzone 2. It seems like this will be mainly for the lower skilled players of skill-based matchmaking though. AI in Modern Warfare 2 reacts, is lethal, and fully aware of the surroundings to provide a sense of life across all modes of play. AI can group up, flank players and more. They have tested a large sandbox with 300 AI and 100 live players, and apparently they will not be able to finish you if you are downed, as they felt like this wouldn't be a pleasant experience for everyone. Let me know your thoughts on bots being in multiplayer matches in Warzone, at least, not actual multiplayer. This is really controversial. Lots of other games have been doing this recently and it's come out a lot of flack, but I guess for casual fans it's okay. We did actually see the first shot of the city in the new Warzone 2 map, which is set in a desert, and we see a remake of Highrise within it, so probably this map is going to be coming to multiplayer after launch, which will just be the section from the new Warzone 2 map. Modern Warfare 2 is going to be featuring an enhanced gunsmith with platforms where weapons share unlocks, new attachment tuning mechanics which allow players to fine-tune attachments, and the tuning is very precise. You can fine-tune attachments, but each comes with positive and negative effects on weapons. The tuning system unlocks for weapons once you level weapons up. Leaks have said that you're only going to be able to attach up to 5 attachments on a weapon. It's unclear if this is true yet because Infinity Ward haven't confirmed anything, and of course this is subject to change. Now we have campaign details. Speaking of the campaign, we're going to be getting our very first gameplay of it at the Summer Game Fest tomorrow. We'll be seeing about 7 minutes of footage, I believe, and influencers have seen early footage of it. These descriptions I'm about to read off are coming from Charlie Intel, but Modern Warfare 2's campaign takes place 3 years after Modern Warfare 2019, so in present day 2022. The storyline kicks off after a US strike kills a foreign general. The nation promises revenge, and Taskforce 141 teams up with Mexican special forces to stop the threat. Apparently, the campaign is going to be focusing around building up the heroes, which are essentially Taskforce 141, so I guess we're going to be seeing a lot of US propaganda once again, because the campaign's going to be focusing on the war on drugs, and really in any form of war, especially the war on drugs, there's a clear villain, which are basically us. I'm wondering how they're going to tell the politics of it, but in any war, pretty much no one's entirely good on either side, especially in this scenario. There's not really any heroes of war, at least in very minute instances, but overall, in any war, almost always both sides are committing war crimes and massive atrocities, so we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But after Modern Warfare 2019 and Black Ops Cold War, I think they did better in displaying both sides, especially Black Ops Cold War, but it seems like we might be regressing with this game. Anyways, Task Force 141 aren't the close-knit unit we'd expect, with Ghost often working as a one-man army who won't see eye to eye with the group. By the way, Ghost has an entirely new actor now after Jeff Leach left, so we'll have to see how his portrayal is, but I'm looking forward to it. After the discovery that the terrorist group Al-Qatala are working with Mexican drug cartel Las Almas, Ghost realizes he can't do everything alone and reaches out to Colonel Vargas of the Mexican Special Forces for help. The campaign will see Task Force 141 travel around the world over the course of the campaign, visiting the Middle East, Europe, Mexico, and the United States. Modern Warfare 2019's campaign was designed to be provocative and put players in uncomfortable situations, but Modern Warfare 2 sees Task Force 141 doing heroic and badass things. Once again, they're just glorifying war. There's some great videos on YouTube talking about how Call of Duty does this, especially because everything that is in Call of Duty needs to be approved by the US military, because in order to use the weapons and vehicles, they need to get permission, and because of that, the US Army can literally say, no, we don't want this in your game, or yes, we do want these particular things, and that's what leads to it just being a propaganda machine, and then what they do is they try and persuade people to then join the military who have been fed this glorified idea of war from Call of Duty and other forms of media, and then try and enlist them when essentially they're just victims and they don't even know what they're getting themselves into. But anyways, enough talking about that. Let's go into the character descriptions for Task Force 141. So for Captain John Price, SAS Captain John Price is the leader of Task Force 141 and has a complicated relationship with authority, often preferring to get the job done in his own, sometimes unconventional way. Price has his own sense of morality, understanding that war isn't always black and white, explaining in Modern Warfare 2019, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, which is entirely true. And regarding what I just said, I think the original Modern Warfare trilogy, because it was so bombastic and so Hollywood-esque, it kind of was so ridiculous that whilst it was portraying war, it wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. And neither should these current Call of Duty games either, but because it's not as cartoonish and not as bombastic and outlandish, they are claiming in all of their marketing that these are realistic games and accurate portrayals, whilst there's still very clear propaganda messages being pushed in them, which is entirely contradictory to their message. And I don't think it was really as bad in the original trilogy. Whilst it did display a lot of things incorrectly, it was kind of just this over-the-top Hollywood experience, which these current Modern Warfare games are not trying to do. They're trying to be realistic, or so they claim. Next we have Kyle Gaz Garrick. Sergeant Kyle Gaz Garrick joined Captain Price's Bravo team after Alcatela's attack on Piccadilly Circus in Modern Warfare 2019. Sticking with Price throughout the mission to recover stolen chemical weapons, Gaz was his first choice to join Task Force 141. Then we have John Soap McTavish. Soap was the main playable protagonist in the original Modern Warfare trilogy and returns for the second installment of the reboot. Described by Price as a sniper and demolitions expert, Soap will likely be taking on Task Force 141's more stealth-based missions in Modern Warfare 2's campaign. Then we have the beloved Simon Ghost Riley. Not much is known about him other than he works as a lone wolf who doesn't always see eye to eye with the rest of Task Force 141. The campaign will see Ghost realize he can't always be a one-man army and brings Vargas into the field. Speaking of Vargas, he's a Mexican Special Forces colonel and is a brand new character brought into the fold by Ghost. So he's not someone from the original trilogy, this is an entirely new character, and we don't know much about his character yet, but his knowledge should be vital in Task Force 141's fight with Las Alamas. Then we have Graves, which is another new character. Described as an ally to Task Force 141, Graves is a private military contractor with Shadow Company. Shadow Company helped General Shepard betray Task Force 141 in 2009's Modern Warfare 2, but with the new timeline and continuity, we'll have to wait and see if they can be trusted this time, and if General Shepard can be trusted after he killed Ghost in the original, will he do the same in this game, or are they going to take a completely different storyline? We then have Kate Laswell, who was the supervisor of the CIA Special Activities Division and had a close working relationship with Price, giving him clearance to form Task Force 141 in Modern Warfare 2019. 3 years later in Modern Warfare 2, Laswell is a CIA station chief and will be in the field with Task Force 141. Of course, we will also be seeing General Shepard in the campaign too, but we don't really know much about him. Now we have details on campaign missions. Like I said, we're going to be seeing one of them tomorrow at the Summer Game Fest. So one mission is called Night War. It begins with operators looking at a downed helicopter, and it's an action-packed mission where the player takes charge of Soap. The mission takes place at nighttime when an allied helicopter crashes into the area as Task Force 141 moves in. After using night vision to clear out a building full of terrorists, 141 moves to secure the downed helicopter. As the helicopter is swarmed by a ton of hostiles, the mission ends with a rocket hitting the chopper. Then we have Wet Work. Of course, longtime COD players will recognize Wet Work from the multiplayer map and the campaign mission, and this map will allow you to show off the new swimming mechanics and water mechanics. It's a stealth-based mission set in Amsterdam where the player takes control of Gaz as he and Price are looking to find out who's smuggling on behalf of terrorists. Much of Wet Work takes place underwater, with Price advising Gaz to stick to using knives to keep things stealthy, using the water as cover. Gaz moves around the area silently, dispatching targets one by one, pulling them down into the water for a silent kill. This level features several different mechanics such as the ledge hang and underwater shooting, and wraps up when Price and Gaz discover that the terrorists are using the Mexican cartel, Las Alamas, to smuggle goods. So I'm guessing this is probably going to be one of the earlier campaign missions, just getting you used to these new gameplay features and new mechanics, and it's basically paying homage to the original Wet Work. We'll probably see this as a multiplayer map too. We did see a multiplayer map in Modern Warfare 2019 that was taking place underneath Wet Work, but this is an entirely different version to the original. It's just paying homage to it. There's another mission called Tower, which takes place in a major city, but we're not exactly sure which one. In this level, players rappel down the side of a building and have full control over how they rappel, head first or feet first. The mission allows players to tackle tackle it in their own way with a variety of different playstyles shown off. Then we have a vehicle-based mission. Although we don't know its official name, the fourth mission shown was vehicle-based, where the player was fighting in and out of vehicles in a convoy in Mexico. This mission shows off all the new vehicle mechanics where players can shoot out of the windows, climb on the roof of vehicles, and even commandeer other cars while they're driving. The developers said that any vehicle can be driven by the player, so this is shaping to be one of the most cinematic missions in the game. Plus, later in the campaign there will be a level reminiscent of All Ghillied Up from the original, where the player dons a ghillie suit and teams up with Price for some long distance sniping. The developers have said that after their work on Warzone they can make massive environments now, thanks to upgrades in the engine capabilities. That's everything we wanted to go over in this video. Of course, there are more details. For example, different weapons and other stuff have been shown in the trailer. Apparently the ACR is returning and some other weapons, but there's already a lot contained within this video, so I might save anything I've missed for a future video. We'll probably be getting more information over the coming days though, as the Summer Game Fest continues. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, and make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.